we want to get into the heart of this episode, move pretty quick. We saw Obsession, came out of that theater maybe an hour and a half ago, and this is coming from maybe a second-time director, Curry Barker. I'm not too familiar with his other two potential projects.
He did some Milk and Cereal is like an hour-long thing. I think it's on YouTube.
Okay.
But then they also, Curry Barker and Cooper Tomlinson, who's in Obsession, they have a sketch comedy channel called That's a Bad Idea. Really funny, really well made. So yeah, I've been watching them for like a few months and didn't realize that one of them was Curry Barker until pretty recently.
I hadn't known anything about their YouTube channel, their skits, but I recognize, we were driving back literally yesterday from Duluth, and the groom-to-be, the guy getting married, was sitting in the back of this minivan that we drove up to Duluth in, and he's like, hey, let me show you some of these sketches. It's kind of funny. And it was literally Curry Barker sketches. And I was like, he looks familiar. And I'm like, isn't that Curry Barker? And I pulled it up, and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to go see this guy's movie as soon as possible because I hear nothing but great things. And it's... to give you a little bit of a rundown, after Breaking the Mysterious, one wished Willow to win his crush's heart, which he probably could have done without doing so. We'll talk about that. A hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price. Not going to bury the lead too long. We both fucking loved this movie. This is such a satisfying horror film. And not only that, this, I feel like in a lesser director's hands, this would have been a way wackier. The tone would be all over the place, and it would lean too much on the laughs. This movie leans into the horror, and then there's a lot of funny fucking moments. But I was blown away by the performances all around, the premise, and I was waiting. I'm like, okay, how are you going to use this one premise? Like something that is not necessarily like the most revolutionary. I feel like we can kind of expect a lot of the things that were going to happen in this movie. Not that I could nail down every single aspect of like what happens with a cat and breaking through a glass window using a brick to help your way through the facial reconstructive surgery of a person. I really enjoyed this movie, and it was just such a pleasant time at the theaters, just being so buckled in from the start, knowing that and feeling like I was in capable hands right away, and just getting to go on a ride where I'm like, I fucking love this, and I it just felt well thought out.
This movie fucking blew me away. Like, walking out of the theater, I was just so pumped. I'm still pumped. I love being this excited about a movie, and I haven't had that yet this year, even with movies I really liked, like The Drama and Hokum. I enjoy those movies a lot, think they're really good. But this one, just from a, not first-time director like we said, but just one of these guys again, like, the Jordan Peele, the Philippou brothers, Zach Kreger, like sketch comedy or YouTube channels, Chris Stuckman also last year, like, that are coming in with these awesome horror visions and just delivering some of the better horror movies in recent years. And just on a filmmaking level, this movie is so well shot. Mm-hmm. There are so many long takes in this movie where it's just a wide shot of characters talking, and it's like the close-ups feel like they're necessary for you to see. And the movie's edited by Curry Barker too, and it just feels like he just had such a control of what he wanted to do. Yeah. And it's so impressive from somebody that, like, the budget for this movie is super low. Like, I don't even remember how much it was, but maybe like $1 million or something. But I think it made like $16 million in its first weekend, so already a profitable movie. And just, I think they shot it like in 20 days too. So
approximately $1 million for a production budget. Yep,
that's crazy. Like $1 million, 20 days, and it feels like this is a seasoned horror director already.
Yeah.
Man, this is great. The performances here, Michael Johnston in the lead is a really compelling character that, like you mentioned, you're like, you're rooting for the guy, but he also makes decisions where you're like, you're being a fucking bitch right now.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
And there are moments that, like, you immediately get the chemistry of all the characters. It is that may be showing its hand a little bit of, like, you can tell it's a smaller budget horror film, maybe, just because we do have a tight-knit group of characters. There's maybe 5 people here, including Andy Richter in a short, really, like, I don't think he really has, like, a talking role or, like, a really big scene in with where he is, like, the main actor in shot or in frame. So that was interesting, but the characters, you felt like they work together. They're friends. They have camaraderie. They go out for drinks afterwards, and some might be a little bit more flirtatious than others. And you can tell with our lead, played by Michael Johnston, where he lacks a lot of that confidence. He doesn't see a lot of self-worth in himself. He's a little down on his luck, a little depressed. Spoiler alert, this happens in maybe the first 2 seconds of the movie. His cat dies. he's kind of down, but he has this this obsession with his coworker, and he wants Nikki to reciprocate that. But you can tell through their kind of dynamic, she might already have those feelings for him. He's just not confident to take that step and push those and see if he can go somewhere with it. So it's just him kind of like fumbling and being awkward and not being sure of himself, and he's letting a good chance slip away from himself, and then he falls back on this One Wish Willow as a fix-all, but then obviously, again, reiterating kind of the synopsis of this movie, it doesn't go according to plan. And I really dug the performances here, especially since these are all actors that I'm guessing don't have the largest careers, don't have a lot of exposure, and like Corey said, there are a lot of long takes. And I'm going to butcher her name, but she's the lead that plays Nikki. Is it Inde Navarrete?
Indy Navarrete, I think it is.
She is sensational, and she's going to blow up huge after this movie. One, she is stunning. But two, again, a lot of long takes of her acting, and there is a kind of an aspect to her character where it almost is like a multiple personality or like a glitch in her. And she is like snapping out of things, or like she'll say, "Oh no, I'm sorry. And it feels like she's talking down to people at points, and it's just, there are scenes that are resting on her shoulders and her performance, especially a party scene that happens probably more in like the midpoint of the movie that is so unbearably awkward and dark, really enjoyable, where it's just like, if this performance is a smidge too goofy, a little too campy, or a little bit flat, this entire scene in the last like 15 to 20 minutes won't work. And it's just so impressive to see an actor who I have no exposure to happily saddle all of that responsibility on themselves and be able to just fucking run. I talk about horror films not really being scary anymore, and movies not really getting to shake me. I was rocked by a girl that was maybe 120 pounds and just a sadistic smile. Are you fucking kidding me? And that comes down to the performances. It comes down to the direction and the editing and a lot of the shot composition. My one honest, like, maybe negative to this movie is that, and this is a negative that you can't really only base on this movie, it's just horror films in general. It's just kind of a trope of the genre. No one has good overhead lighting in their homes. But you need that for horror films. You need shadow. You need to be able to hide things in plain sight. And with that, there are some great shots of characters in shadow, characters kind of just lingering in frame, and you not noticing them until you need to. Kind of like the Toni Collette in Hereditary. Yep. It's just, holy fuck, was this great.
Indy Navarrette's physical performance, along with what you mentioned of there being a glitch almost, where there's scenes where she just flips on a dime, where it's like there's almost just two different people battling for control of the same body.
I think we should maybe get into spoilers.
Let's get into a little bit of spoilers. We recommend this movie a lot. It's been getting hyped up in like recent weeks, I feel like, but we think it lives up to the hype.
This is one of the few movies from this year where the hype maybe isn't enough. Like, this movie is exceptional.
Yeah.
And go see it. It's a great horror film. It's very fun. It's funny. And it's also somewhat grotesque. It gets really nutty at times. I really appreciated that as well.
This feels like it could be like when Jordan Peele made Get Out. And everyone was like, oh shit. And then with years, that movie has just grown and grown and grown. So go see Obsession. It's great. But yeah, so with Indy Navarrette's performance, where it's like, once the One Wish Willow, which also I'm glad we saw it at Willow Creek Theater.
Yeah, also thought that was funny.
For the One Wish Willow stick that the main character breaks. And essentially it's kind of, you figure out that the real Nikki is kind of in this purgatory where she's inside or some other place where she's almost like Get Out a little bit. Yeah. Where you're kind of in there but you can't break through and be that person anymore. And just the performance in the eyes, smiles, long shots of just her smiling and standing. You mentioned, like, when she's in the corner or something, and just like the contortion of the body, walking backwards in a scene that looks incredible. Like the lighting we talked about a little bit too, where she's like mainly in the dark and you just see the eyes kind of glimmering a little bit through. It's creepy. It's fucking terrifying. Like, this movie scared me a lot, and we've talked about that, where a lot of them are like good, elevated horror movies that have a lot to say and do a lot of that, but aren't like really scary. This one freaked me out a lot. You mentioned the party scene is really great, where she's reading like this portion of her book that she talks about earlier in the movie, where when she was still Nikki and still normal, she was talking about writing a book that's a love story, not a romance.
Yeah.
Which I think is the theme for this movie, really.
Was
because
it part of the marketing, too? It might have even said that in the trailers, I feel like, somewhere. But that it rings true through the book and the movie.
And it really, I mean, like last year we talked about the movie Together, the horror movie. Another really good one.
I thought about that watching this, too.
Yeah.
I was like, if Corey loves Together, he's loving this.
And that movie dealt a lot with codependency between Dave Franco and Alison Brie as they kind of go away. This movie deals with some of those same themes too, but really more specifically with like the dangers of, kind of back to that, it's a love story, not a romance, where if the dangers of love in terms of like codependency and obsession versus romance, where it's like an actual genuine understanding and respect, where you can have love without romance, and the vast gap between those two. And I think the movie handles it just in a really good way, where it's not beating you over the head, doesn't feel pretentious in any ways, and it's just kind of the idea of like killing parts of yourself to be with someone, and what characters almost do at the end of a movie, and they're like, do I do this to save someone else or to be with someone else? It just all works so well for me.
And I really also, Cooper Tomlinson, he's another supporting performance in this film. He's sensational. He plays basically like the one sane person that our lead can go to, but this entire time they're like, why is Nikki acting so weird? And obviously Michael Johnson's character is the only one that really knows that, because he's the one that made the wish, but he's not outright comfortable sharing that information with people until shit's really hitting the fan and he has nowhere else to turn. There is a very fucking funny scene where Michael Johnson's character starts to kind of figure it out. He can, maybe I can make someone else wish away my wish. Like, because I only get one wish. I can't redo this or unwish my wish. I can maybe get someone else to play defense for me and wish away my wish. And once he's explaining this to Cooper Tomlinson's character, and he's just like, sure, buddy, fuck it, whatever. Yeah, I wish I had $1 billion. And then cash just rains from the ceiling of his home. And he's standing there like, huh? And Michael Johnson's just like, you fucking kidding me right now? And it's just, there's so many great comedic beats in this movie that I, one, wouldn't expect, and two, did not undermine the horror at all. Like, it didn't come at the expense of the horror. This film always retained great tension and good suspense in scenes. There's a lot of times where basically it is almost an abusive relationship that Michael Johnson has now wished upon himself. And any time he gets home, you feel like you're Michael Johnson, where you're just like, where is she? What's she gonna do? What's she gonna say? Oh, she pissed and shit on the rug? Okay. Oh, she fed you some of your dead cat? Okay. Like, it's just, shit gets so weird and nutty. And I feel like I'm just going to sit here and glaze this entire movie if we talk about it for too long. It's just so well handled. I also like that they don't over-explain how the wishing system works. And there's a moment, and you can see it in the trailers, I think it was maybe their first trailer that they released, of Michael Johnson's character sitting in the theater, or in his car, calling like the helpline on the back of the One Wish Willow. And he's like, oh yeah, well, can't really help you. Like, do you want like submit a cancel request? We don't really do those. Do you want to talk to Nikki? And he's like, what? And then you hear potentially what Nikki's soul or whatever she's going through. I love that they don't over-explain it. You can kind of just like create an idea in your own mind, and it works so well. It's such a good dark film, and it's so surprising. I could not sing this movie's praises enough. In terms of this year, it's the one film that has had a big hype that I think deserves it. It is easily my favorite horror film of the year, over Hokum, and others that I liked. Well, maybe not my favorite horror film. I don't look at zombie films as necessarily being horror. I guess by default it is. 28 years later, Bone Temple is still my favorite. This is comfortably right now at number 2, and then I think I have Exit 8 at number 3 for this year. So we're finally, and now that we have Passenger to look forward to, we have more horror films coming out in the next couple of months. Backrooms, that trailer is still so fucking good. We're in such a good spot for horror, and I feel like this, weirdly enough, is maybe a start of the summer movie season now that we have Mando and everything else coming out after this. This was just such a great wake-up call. And I came over today after we went and saw it. We drove separate, and Corey had all of these films kind of set up. So we have Talk to Me, Get Out, It Follows, Late Night with the Devil, Smile, Sinister, Heretic. These are all films that over the past couple of years, horror films that we've really loved and have really made a big impression on both Corey and I, and perfect smattering of films. And honestly, when that 4K or Blu-ray or whatever they release of Obsession, it will be kind of within this pantheon of just great recent horror films that really just blew me away.
I think along with these, Hereditary, Weapons, Barbarian, some of those other ones too, they're great. But man, this movie, you talked about the tone, just like blending it so well of horror and comedy, and that's a tough thing to do. But I think kind of back to the Jordan Peele comparison, you can see in Get Out and Us and Nope as well, like in their sketches, like how well they're made, but also like the dark comedy in there, and like how like freaky in terms of like a comedy sketch on YouTube. But I think that translates here so well. And again, just like of sitting with scenes, that's such a experienced director thing where I feel like so many new directors are like, all right, we have to keep the audience doing this, but even like the initial scene of him making his wish is just really drawn out. And like even on the drive back when you're like, is he gonna tell her that he likes her? How's this gonna go? She leaves, she comes back to the car, she goes into the house, he makes the wish, she comes back out to the car, and even then like you're figuring out like, when is she gonna like, has she already happened? Did she come back normal? Like, it's just, you sit with that there, and also just, like, little scenes I love of him being like, hey, I'm going to go to a boys' night while she's in the bathroom, and you don't see her, but you just hear her in the shower, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll get ready in a little bit. He's like, it is just kind of the boys going. Shower turns off, something whips against the wall, and, like, you don't see that, and it's up to you of, like, what the fuck is she doing in there?
Okay, one, the sound effect of the shower slamming on.
Yeah.
Jump scare. And it works. And then also the humor of, like, if I told Allie, like, late at night, I'm going to go to a boys' night, she's not necessarily going to have that reaction, but, like, knowing the way that Michael Johnson's character is like, okay, well, I might go do this, and just, like, the hesitation with it, I'm like, God, that's so relatable. I love that. So I like how they handle it, like, how they work in actual relationship dynamics into this film, while also, this is a horror film, and horrible shit that people really can't relate to, they make it relatable. So I really was pleasantly surprised by that too. I like that the film also isn't afraid to, one, there are moments where you're like, Michael Johnson, this character, what is this character's name? I just keep saying the actor's name. Do you remember?
Bear.
Yeah, I forget. They call him Bear. When Bear's character could do what he wants, he could achieve basically likely having a relationship with Nikki and not needing this wish, but he doesn't have the confidence. So you have that dynamic. And then you also get in this film, which again, kudos to Curry Barker, giving us a protagonist that is doing horrible shit and willing to continually do horrible shit. He recognizes the effect of his wish and the stranglehold it has on Nikki, and now she is dueling with some other entity for her body and for her mind. And it's basically like the sunken place in Get Out, or even like in Split, like who's sitting on the chair, who's running the ship. And I was just really blown away by that. And when he realizes that Nikki is still in there, she just doesn't always have the microphone, basically. And she sometimes is able to send a cry for help. And he's like, nope, I'm just going to leave. You see that he feels bad, but he also likes that he still has her. I was so blown away by that. Just fucking, like, I don't want to say, like, it's a perfect movie, but I struggle to come up with an actual, like, big negative to this movie. I was really blown away.
I think another just real part of kind of the relationships, obviously, you talked about, like, the, you know, obsessive girlfriends or obsessive boyfriend, controlling boyfriends, whatever side you want to look at. But even just, like, the realistic shit of, and I think kind of maybe, like, a under-talked about part of this movie, maybe, is that you find out that Nikki and Ian had been hooking up pretty casually for a while. That's such, like, a very real thing in, like, a group of friends or in, like, high school or early 20s, whatever. But it also adds so much context to the beginning of the movie when Ian's like, all right, well, you can talk to Nikki. Like, call her Freaky Nikki. Like, that'll be funny. And then he does it, and then she's like, why the fuck would you say that? You know I hate when people say that. So, like, just things earlier in the movie, again, that's, like, just an experience director of foreshadowing and writing that into the screenplay. So we're glazing the hell out of this movie, but it deserves it.
It's fantastic.
Curry Barker, man, this is a star-making directorial performance. Indy Navarrete, star-making performance as far as acting goes. I cannot wait to see what else Curry Barker's going to do. We talked about Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I know he's got a couple other movies in development, and he has a lot of short films that I actually really want to check out. I'm sure they'll be really cool. So
he has a Zach Kreger-like trajectory.
Yeah.
Like Barbarian to Weapons to now Resident Evil and other stuff that he has rumored. It's like I could easily foresee the same for Curry Barker, but especially with this being your first really at the gate, here we go, this is my horror film. Fucking awesome. So.
Also, just to cap it out, I think a perfect ending. And
awesome. Literally a perfect ending. Like, you could not write a better ending to that.
And I was just reading up after we got out of the movie a little bit that his original ending had Nikki dying as well. I don't know if it was in place of Bear or like if everyone died.
Again, this is a spoiler. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we said
already
spoiler
said spoiler alert.
so.
But like, if you're like, surely they're done talking about this movie. We're not. We're still glazing it. But
if you're trying to skip forward in the
sorry,
sorry about that. We'll get to some stuff in a second. But like his original ending had Nikki dying as well, but then other people gave him some feedback, and he took that and was like, you know what, that actually does work better.
Yeah.
That's also a very mature thing to not have this ego of like, no, I'm this wunderkind, like I'm gonna make this.
Every
my
idea
vision.
I have is the right idea.
Like he's just like, from what I kind of understand, he just sat with it and was like, you know what, yeah, let's do that. And that's even more horrifying that she has to see what's been happening and realize that in this weird state where she's like, I don't know if I know what's going on.
Yeah.
I like that they don't explain it either.
Yeah.
You just leave it. It's a great shot that just kind of flips on a TV. Credits start going. Great.
Yeah.
Love it. This movie's awesome. Again, go check it out. We could talk for another hour about this movie probably, but really, really good. Really fun to see it with you again at the Willow Creek. Was a fun little time.